Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's video we're going to do a quick analysis of the new trailer for Little Nightmares 2. Now Little Nightmares 2 was just announced yesterday with a brand new trailer at Gamescom at the press conference, so I've watched this trailer and broken it down best I can. So now I'm going to throw over to basically a full analysis of this trailer, guys, and afterwards I'll give my thoughts on what I actually thought of the trailer itself, so stay tuned for that. Without further ado, here is my breakdown of the Little Nightmares 2 trailer. When analysing this trailer, there is a fair amount of ground to cover, and so I will structure the breakdown of footage around 3 key segments: characters, environments, and finally, things you may have missed. With that said, let's kick things off with a look at the creepy characters found within Little Nightmares 2. The first character we are introduced to in this trailer is a familiar one, the little girl from the original game known as Six. However, it isn't instantly apparent this character is Six because she doesn't don her iconic yellow raincoat until midway through. In some ways, the fact we see her acquire the jacket during this trailer suggests that perhaps this game is a prequel to the original game's story rather than a continuation of it. Is this game attempting to reveal the origins of the giant humanoid beings Six encountered within the depths of the moor and the relation of her gnome-like race to them? It's hard to tell for sure. The opening shot of Six waking up on a beach may suggest this is a true sequel though, as if you remember during the final moments of the original Little Nightmares, she escaped her prison within this floating island, a location surrounded by ocean water. So it is possible Six attempted to swim to shore and nearly drowned doing so, eventually being washed up on this beach and losing her new gained powers in the process. She doesn't seem particularly powerful in this trailer after all. But Six isn't the only main character in Little Nightmares 2. A brand new protagonist is also revealed. Standing a little taller with a paper bag over their head and wearing a long trench coat, this character is known as Mono. We know this as during a German gaming event called Gamescom, where the trailer was first shown, Dave Mervick, one of the senior developers at the studio behind the game, Tarsier Studios, stated the following.
Seems like there's a new character, right?
Yeah, it's a new character called Mono that you'll be playing as. Six is there as well, so yeah. But you'll be playing as Mono, and the pair of you are going to a place called the Signal Tower, which is the center of the whole story.
It seems as, with Six, Mono doesn't speak, but somehow the two communicate with one another and travel together on their new quest. Let's think about how gameplay may work here. It seems for much of the game as though we are accompanied by Mono. In fact, we may even play as him instead of Six this time round. So much of the game may involve working together to solve puzzles and escape the host of new dangers this world now presents. It is possible that Little Nightmares 2 may feature some kind of co-op component too, allowing a second player to join the nightmare, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. So, moving on to those new dangers, we see a group of new enemy characters in this trailer too. There's the insanely creepy looking teacher smacking a ruler, perhaps her weapon of choice as she chases us down. Then there's her classroom full of giant kids, all wearing the same angry expression and bowl cut hairstyle. Maybe it's the haircut that put them in such a bad mood. We can also see a brief glimpse of 2 more bad guys. The first one seems to be some kind of butcher working in an abattoir. He wears overalls and grabs at a rancid pile of meat, hooks and carcasses hanging up all around him in chilling grindhouse horror style. Look to the right of this image and we see a shotgun propped up against the counter. It seems this is an enemy with long range attacks. This may or may not be the hunter character who shows up a little later on. He seems to have the same clothing but wears a bag over his head and carries a bright flashlight to hunt Six and Mono through the woodland. Whoever this character is, he certainly looks incredibly menacing and creepy. Last but not least is this shot, which reveals a group of townfolk all queued up and staring into the static of a television screen. We'll speak more about this odd scenario and these TV sets soon. For now, just look at the horrifying appearance of these workers. Little Nightmares certainly knows how to pull off grotesque visuals to a T. Moving away from characters and over now to environments within this trailer, we see far more variety in Little Nightmares 2 than its predecessor, which is probably because it is no longer all taking place within the moor, a giant floating prison. 6 has washed ashore an isle with a gigantic city built upon it. We will journey into the heart of this industrial landscape as seen here in this shot where Mono navigates the rooftops by night. Not only the rooftops and streets will be explorable though, it looks like areas around the city will also be accessible. Places such as woodland, rundown shacks, and of course the beach we first awaken on. Within the city itself we see a schoolhouse, a weird asylum looking area with suspended beds, what appears to be some kind of mannequin factory, a hospital, and what seems to be Mono's hideout. It's safe to say this sequel will be much bigger and more ambitious in scope and scale than the original. Let's move on to the final section of this analysis, things you might have missed. These are just random points of interest I picked up on that I felt were worthy of discussion. First, let's take a look at weapons. That's right, as confirmed by the developers, there will now be moments where Mono and 6 can defend themselves directly from certain dangers, rather than having to use stealth or simply run away. There are 2 places where this is displayed during the trailer. In this shot here where Mono prepares to swing a pipe at a reanimated hand, and secondly in this shot here where he uses a soup ladle to smack away some of these demonic children. This brings us to our next point. Look at how the head of this character smashes like porcelain as it is struck. It suggests these kids are in fact mannequins or doll-like characters brought to life by some kind of unseen force, likely made from the mannequin pieces referenced earlier in this factory environment. So it seems as though the humanoids in this city are creating living beings on a factory production line and building a society around them. Who knows why, but it may well tie into the TV screens we see dotted around the environments. These screens display static, which seems to hypnotise those looking into it, almost as if the wavelength from these screens is controlling the people of this island. An unknown force, perhaps the one we glimpse within the screen at the end of this trailer, is likely pulling the strings here, and they are likely doing this from the broadcast tower we see in this shot here, located within the city centre, transmitting a signal which controls everyone. Well, aside from our 2 heroes that is. This tower can be spotted in the background of Mono's hideout too. It is drawn here on this paper, suggesting our mission is to assist Mono and journey to the tower to stop this nefarious broadcaster. A broadcast which perhaps is bringing headless people back to life. I mean, how else do you explain this? One final point to cover when looking at these television screens is how Mono interacts with one right at the end of this trailer. He seems to be placing his hands on the screen and then uses it to warp. This got me thinking that perhaps we will be able to use TVs as a sort of portal-like device. With Mono's power, he is potentially able to fast travel between locations, and so rather than a seamless experience as we saw with the original Little Nightmares, this sequel could be broken up into stages with a TV at the end to teleport to the next one, covering far more ground in the process, but we'll have to wait and see. And that was it for our Little Nightmares analysis today, guys. I just wanted to cover this trailer because I'm a huge fan of Little Nightmares. I think the original game is one of the best sort of horror platform games of the last decade, quite frankly. And while you might argue there's not that much competition, it does sit there with games like Inside, Limbo, and more recently The Fantastic Dark. And Little Nightmares fits in with that sort of whole genre. It seemed like Little Nightmares was all we were going to get, and then the DLC sort of wrapped up the story there. But then we've had this entirely new game. It's opened up a whole bunch of possible theories. The story's now completely opened up, adding in more characters, newer environments, and it just looks so good. You know, graphically it looks a lot better than the original. It improves on what the original did with its environments, with its character design, and obviously adding in new skills like combat. It just seems like it's trying to do so much this game, and I couldn't be more excited for it. Hopefully this analysis of the trailer has raised some interesting questions and you've enjoyed it. If you have, guys, and you would like to see me do some theories, of course just let me know in the comment section below. But for now I will say goodbye and throw out to the end of this video.